Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on The Winter's Tale, and today we get to hear from the shepherd in Act 3, Scene 3, who in some versions is called the Old Shepherd, because I don't think there's a young shepherd. The Old Shepherd slash shepherd has a son who's just referred to as Clown, who we'll get to meet in a minute. But anyway, we don't hear from the clown today. We hear from the clown tomorrow. We hear from the shepherd today. So the fun stuff that is going on. Hermione is dead, Mamilius is dead, Leontes is grieving and has decided that he will spend the rest of his days visiting their grave and crying over it. Paulina was very upset about this, but has said that she's not going to give Leontes any crap for it anymore for the rest of his life because she can see that he feels really bad about what he did. But in the meantime, Antigonus, here in Act 3, Scene 3, had gotten on a boat because he had a dream that Hermione said to take the baby. Remember, Antigonus was tasked with taking the baby out to, leave it to fend for itself by Leontes. But the ghost of Hermione came to Antigonus in a dream and said, take the baby to Bohemia and name it Perdita. Or Perdita, however you want to pronounce it. I think, like, scansion-wise, it should be Perdita. Yeah. So he has gone to do that, and he got off of the boat in sort of a storm is brewing, and he walked a little way from the boat and told the baby about this dream that he had, and he left the baby with a scroll and a bag of stuff. I believe there's gold in there that he hopes maybe somebody's going to find this baby, but and the thought in taking it to Bohemia was that if it was actually Polixenes' baby, then it would be taken home, essentially, to his father. So anyway, he leaves the baby and he exits pursued by a bear. The greatest stage direction. And shortly after he exits pursued by a bear, and baby is still lying there on the ground by itself with this scroll and this bag of gold, the shepherd comes on stage, and he's not in a very good mood because there's this storm brewing, and he doesn't really want to be out in it. But as he comes on stage, he says, I would there were no age between 10 and 3 and 20, or that youth would sleep out the rest. For there is nothing in the between but getting wenches with child, wronging the ancientry, stealing, fighting. Hark you now, would any but these boiled brains of 19 and 2 and 20 hunt this weather? They have scared away 2 of my best sheep, which I fear the wolf will sooner find than the master. If anywhere I have them, 'tis by the seaside, browsing of ivy. Good luck, and if be thy will, what have we here? Mercy on us, a barn? A very pretty barn? A boy or a child, I wonder? Pretty one, very pretty one. Sure, some scape. Though I am not bookish, yet I can read waiting gentlewoman in the scape. This has been some stair work, some trunk work, some behind door work. They were warmer that got this than the poor thing is here. I'll take it up for pity. Yet I'll tarry till my son come. He hollowed even but now, whoa, ho, ho, ho. So, he's a grumpy old shepherd, is what this boils down to. He says that he wishes that like people went from being 10 years old to being 23 without the interim bit, because he thinks that between the ages of 10 and 23, people just cause problems and make old people upset and fight and all these sorts of things, and get people pregnant who they shouldn't be getting pregnant, and blah, blah, blah. And then, he hears horns. He hears like hunting horns, and he's like, who is going to be out hunting in this weather except for stupid young people who are like 19 and 22 years old? And he's upset because some of his sheep have run away, and he's pretty sure that he's going to find them down by the seaside, or that a wolf is going to get them first. But then he stumbles on the baby, and he's like, whoa, is this a boy or a girl? I can't quite tell. But he thinks that this baby was nobly born but had to be snuck out. So like somebody of some decent standing had this baby when they weren't supposed to. He thinks it's like a bastard child. So they had to sneak out and sort of leave the baby in the forest instead of being able to raise it. So he thinks there's some some nefarious beginnings to this child, but decides that he'll take it with him because, you know, who's gonna just leave a baby aside from Antigonus, who was told that he had to leave the baby just there. It wasn't Antigonus' fault. He could have said no, or he could have just run away and raised the baby by himself. But anyway, you can say whatever you want about Antigonus. Anyway, the shepherd decides that he's going to pick up the baby, but he needs, before he goes back inside from this storm, he wants to meet back up with his son again because his son was just recently in the area. So he calls for his son, and his son, the clown, enters, and the shepherd's like, you want to see something that you're likely not ever going to see again? And the clown's like, that makes two things now that I've seen today that are crazy. And the shepherd's like, what's the other thing that you saw? And the clown is going to tell us in tomorrow's monologue. So we'll see you then for that. Mwah.